that you want to ask before you submit your pre-recorded presentation and also your Q&A session time, so that you, in the end of the day, you'll be able to like talk to your supervisor, lecturer, and then present your work. Anything you want to ask, please? Anyone, if you want to ask questions, you can unmute yourself and then you just ask me now. Anyone?
Doctor.
Yeah, please. Is it Junwei? Hello?
Is it okay that we...
Is it Junwei? Are you
yeah.
Junwei talking, right? You are from tutorial? Which tutorial group? Because I can't remember all names now. Just let me know. Tutorial group 2, okay?
So I would like to ask, if we find we are doing the correlation for the Pearson, we are doing a parametric test. So right now we see that there is no correlation between the data we found.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So does that mean that we do not need to do the regression?
Yeah. You can't do the regression at all because there's no correlation. Even if you try to do draw a regression line, your regression line just left the y-asymptote, like it's like nothing. Nothing at all. Yeah. So
can we assume that the data is normally distributed and we do the Pearson test?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. For the, I just want to add a bit more. For that part, right, you can assume on your normality test and you can assume the data to be normally distributed and also follow homogeneous variance, so that it can justify your use on the parametric test, including your t-test, ANOVA, and also Pearson correlation. Okay, but there's another way where you apply non-normality test as well as homogeneity of variance test, so that in the other day, these two tests tells you, are you supposed to use parametric or non-parametric? Then only you go and apply those tests. All right. So that is actually a more so-called correct way. But for the sake of the assignment, I don't mind that you directly assume the data to be normally distributed and follow homogeneous variance, because I know somehow when your data is a bit small, even though you have 100 over, it's sometimes very difficult for you to get a normally distributed data, and it might end up all of your tests gonna be like non-parametric. But for the sake of the assignment, I don't think it's a good way. I hoping to see diversify content rather than everything is non-parametric, so you can do that kind of manipulation. All right. At least for tutorial group 1 and tutorial group 2, I'm very fine with this one. If it's like other tutorial group like 6 and 7, you can double check Dr. Suri. But from my case, my point of view, I'm fine with that. Okay, but again, double check with your lecturer. Okay, because they are marking your project. Then next one. Yes, you can raise your hand, then you can ask now, please.
Doctor, hi,
yeah,
I'm from group 1, Lian from group 1.
Yeah.
So my correlation test, I did it. There's a significance. However, the significance level shows that it's like not a significant. I mean, no, there's a correlation, but it's not significant. Sorry. So do I still have to do a regression test for that?
I think it's the same question with Junwei, right?
But there's a correlation. However, it's not significant.
Having a correlation but not significant.
The significance level is like
over. Do you mind if you show me the table right now?
Okay, so sorry. Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. I think it's easier for me to answer directly if I can see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This one, it shows that there is a. This one showing that there is no correlation, right?
Isn't it above?
It's bigger than 0.05 means no, right? Smaller than 0.05, then yes, right? Did I recall it wrongly? Don't. Yeah.
Okay.
You get what I mean? I think it's smaller than 0.05 means there is a significant difference.
Okay.
Are you the wrong one or I'm the wrong one? I always afraid that I actually remember it wrongly.
I think I'm the wrong one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Noted.
There's no significant difference. Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry, there's no correlation. So basically, you can't do the regression. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Doctor.
Yes,
I'm
you.
tutor to Group E. I would like to ask that for the video presentation, what should we include inside the video presentation? Is it just all the hypotheses and the way we evaluate our results?
Yeah. Okay. And then after you will be Li Chuan, yeah. Okay. Hong Yan first. So the question is about the content you should put in the presentation. Again, this one is actually quite subjective in terms of lecturer as well. So I will give my opinion in terms of for students from tutorial 1 and tutorial 2, but you can double check with your adversary for students from 6 and 7. So I personally would like to have a presentation where the flow is actually clear. So you should start with introduction. At the very least, you need to tell what your project is about. You talk about your title, you talk about your background of the project a bit, why you want to talk about, investigate on these kind of things. Then you start to show a bit on your questionnaire in a very quick manner maybe, and then you can talk about your objectives, and then focus more on hypothesis. Whenever you are going to hypothesis, I would suggest you don't need to speak every single hypothesis in that particular slide. You can just quickly show me. Then you can swap. You can, move on to the hypothesis proving one by one, right? Then you can actually swap to every single students that you actually have. So it's like if you have 6 students in a group, then you have 6 hypotheses. Then hypothesis 1, then the student 1 that's going to be presenting, then student 2, student 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you end up with the conclusion. All right. So and this makes up all your 10 minutes. If you ask me the optimum allocation of time, that would suggest you can actually have like 3.5 minutes for your intro, okay, background and so on, to let me know some idea about your project. Then later on, you can allocate 1 minute for every single hypothesis. Then you actually have 6 minutes plus 3.5 minutes. So it's like 9.5 minutes. So you got to have 30 seconds left to wrap up everything in your conclusion. So this whole presentation will be complete. Okay. So it's my point of view, but of course you can have your own arrangement. But the main thing is I would like to see a presentation that the flow is actually making sense, rather than you just tell me the title, you jump to hypothesis, and then that's it. Then I will have a very big question mark about what your project is actually about. Okay.
Oh, then is it okay if there's only one person who speak about the whole introduction process, like the whole script?
Yes, it's okay. I don't mind about the intro and the conclusion part. You can actually just assign one student, but for the specific hypothesis, I will need the student to handle the particular hypothesis. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Okay, so Li Chen, you can proceed with.
Doctor, so I did include the validity checking in my report. Is it okay?
You can for part of the justification, but I would say something extra. All right, not wrong.
Okay. And then I haven't set the date for Q&A session. So do I need to write?
You can text me in the Microsoft Team chat, because I will finalize all the presentation. The pre-recorded presentation submission, and also your Q&A session by the end of week 12, hopefully. So in that case, by that time, then all of the groups will have the schedule.
Okay.
Because right now, some of you give me time, some of you didn't. So that's why I'm asking you all to create your own Microsoft Team meetings, and then you invite me so that I can arrange in my calendar.
All right.
So that there's no clash.
Okay, thank you.
For you to propose for a Q&A session, right, make sure it's during working hours. So it's supposed to be 9 to 6. You don't give me a time like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. And then you set half an hour.
Okay.
Okay. And all students must present, yeah. Make sure all students must present, and I will need you to enable your camera for a while, okay, during your presentation. So make sure that you are able to, that you need to show your face for a while, all right? For all the group members. Okay. Anything else? Next one. Yeah. Chen, you still have other questions? No, right?
No, thank you, Doctor.
Then you can stop raising your hand. And then Jingyan, and you want to ask question? I saw you raise a hand for a while. Or somebody else? Okay. No, then anyone have question you want to unmute yourself and ask now?
Doctor.
Yes, you are.
For the I'm Kishore from Group 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. For the presentation, all you have to do is just the background, intro, conclusion, and we have to present the hypothesis and the result of the test.
Yes. From my group, tutorial 1 and 2, yes, that is true. But your case, you can take my flow as a example, and then you can ask those three whether she wants this kind of flow or she wants to straight to the point. Again, it's dependent on the lecturers that are handling your group. So please double check with her. Okay.
Right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything else?
Doctor?
Yes, you are Yongmin, is it?
Yeah. Previously, I asked you about the hypothesis because there is no two variable.
No true variable. What do you mean by no true variable?
Because wait, previous one is let me have a look. Okay, so my previous hypothesis is more FSKTM students explore web dev compared to other topics in CS. So the hypothesis doesn't have two variables.
Wait, I cannot hear you because somebody is very noisy suddenly. So can you repeat again, or do you want to paste your sentence in the chat so that we can read it easier?
All right. I paste it.
Yeah, it's not so clear, unfortunately. So are you pasting or you are? Okay, so there's no significant difference between different gender FSKTM students in terms of number of topics preference, number of topics of preference to explore. Oh, so many off. In terms of the, I think you don't need to put the number in this case. Topic of preference to explore, I think. But are you calculating numbers?
Yeah, I calculating the number myself.
I think we need to do some sentence restructuring. The sentence structure right now is a bit weird. Number of topic of preference.
Maybe my English.
Topic, you just write number of preferred topic.
Okay. Yeah.
Ayo. I don't want to correct your English here. Please. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that one solved. Anything else? At some point, you know, sometimes English, right, you're supposed to double check yourself lah. It's because it's not an English class, but if your English somehow having some issues in your report, it will really affect my reading, understanding of the report itself, and you actually affect your whole project outcome, you know. So please, okay, wait, Gei-Chin, Dodo was not paying attention. Then where should we submit the pre-recorded? Okay. There are two ways, okay? It's either you want to use, again, tutorial 6 and 7, you ask Dr. Sri, my cases, okay? For student from 1 and 2, you can submit via Microsoft Team chat. The group leader, you can submit to me directly, okay? That's one way. And just paste that. Another way is you want to reply on the email that we have, the group email. Remember, every single group, we actually have a group email. Everyone's syswap mail is inside. Then you can also send over that, okay? Because I'm not sure which one you want to use. There are so many ways, but these are the two standard way, okay? If you use the other way, then you better let me know in specific, or else I won't be able to retrieve your video later on. I will basically check these two places only. All right? So anything else from the floor, please? You can unmute and ask, or you can like Gei-Chin, you can actually type directly. It's also fine. I will actually answer once I saw the notification. But anything else you want to ask? I mean, it's very soon that your project presentation is coming, I would say, and I know that you have a lot of assignments, but That's why I'm suggesting you, if you can, right, you can actually complete this assignment as soon as you possible, I would say. And if you have SPSS issues, as I mentioned, I think I already post the VPN services provided by UM. So you can actually go and take a look there. If you have a limitation from the trial version that is only available for 1 month, then the VPN service will be able to help you to like access from remote. Okay, you can take a look there. And when you require the password for the tutorial group 1 and 2, please ask me, and for tutorial 6 and 7, please ask Dr. Sui for the password. And your username is actually in the feedback comment. You actually have a username over there. Okay, it's gonna be different from your Syswami username. Okay. And why tutorial 8 is here? Hey, wait, or maybe it's that. Oh, maybe she asked it's another places. Okay, that's another story. Okay, Doctor, I would like to ask, does Likert skill can be considered as continuous variable? It's just ordinal variables. Okay. Likert skill is the representation which is the most manipulatable outcome. Sorry, not outcome. The most manipulatable data that you can play with. Okay, it can be used as continuous. It can be used as ordinal, or even you just put in nominal is fine. Because why? You can actually, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You can actually treat it as 5 distinct classes. Okay, you have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, nominal data. Okay, so you can actually use ANOVA. You can use t-test by using a cutoff point. For example, you cut off at 3. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You cut off at 3, then you actually have 2 groups now. You have 1, 2 as one group, 3, 4, 5 as another group. Then you can apply independent sample t-test. Okay. You can also treat it as a continuous variable because the value can range from 1 to 5. Okay, from 1 to 5, where it's actually considered as values in the continuous manner, although it's not so suitable. But for the sake of the assignment, I allow you to treat it as a continuous variable. I'm fine with that. Okay. The last thing I would need to share, I would like to share is if you actually have a list of big questions, okay, you have big questions, and then you actually wanted to like combine a lot of Likert skill into one outcome, then you can actually just sum up all the values. Considering your Likert skill, maybe you have 5, right? And then all your Likert skill is actually ranging from 1 to 5. So in that case, you actually have the value. I mean, you actually have minimum of summation values, which is 5. Maximum summation value will become 25. Then this particular range can be like continuous variable as well. So it depends on how you want to manipulate your responses in this point. And Likert skill is the one of the I would say choices which is very easy to be manipulated and for you to build a very diversified hypothesis. Okay, so it depends. But again, many things you can play with. Hopefully I answered your question, Xingyi. And then, Xiaoli, if I'm using non-primary test, the nominal test show is not normal, but the homogeneity shows no significant difference. So I need to include the homo variant. Okay, you should include, because why? Both tests, okay? Both tests is required for you to, okay. Technically, even if you don't include, it's also enough for you to justify it's non-parametric, I agree. But the flow, okay, the correct flow is supposed to be applying both tests, and both tests having the outcome, then only you decide whether it's parametric or non-parametric. So if you are telling me that, oh, not normal, then I directly go for non-parametric, it's not wrong, but it's not so correct in terms of the flow. Okay, so again, it's because we are doing statistical tests, it's better for us to follow the flow correctly. Okay, so I would suggest you still include it, but if you think that the table is actually too big, I'm actually suggesting students, right, you can draw your own table, okay, because the SPSS table that is actually you print screen from the software is gonna be eating up a lot of space with a lot of values that is not needed, okay, in your particular presentation, in your particular hypothesis proving. So you can actually redraw your own table or or you actually just pick up the values, okay? But you refer the table in the end of the in the appendix. You put it into the appendix so that you can have more content and more space for you to elaborate your content. Unless you have nothing else to elaborate, then of course you can put back the table, the screenshot table, and put back into your main content. But I think if you have 6 hypotheses, you will only have not enough space, but not supposed to have too many space left. Okay, so yeah, that's what I can share with you. Okay, Hao Jun. Hopefully I answer your question, yeah? And then, may I know when we test for normality and homogeneity of category, can we test for normality? If categorical data cannot perform normality test, means that non-parametric test is not applicable for categorical data, but only for continuous data they are not normally distributed. Oh, okay. Your question is a bit pushing here, pushing there. I'm trying to find out what are you actually asking. May I know, can we test on normality and homogeneity of categorical data? I think you can apply it, right? I can't really recall, is there any restriction on this part, but I think you still can apply the test on it. Okay, if categorical data cannot perform normality tests, it means that non-parametric test is not applicable for categorical data, but only for continuous data that are not normally distributed. Not really, because if you notice that some of your friends, right, is actually using a chi-square independent test. This one is actually a non-parametric and is actually designed for nominal versus nominal data. So I don't think that is an issue. So hopefully I answer your question. Okay, if not, then you can ask again. And else, if please clarify if I didn't answer your question, you can clarify again and ask me again. And for hypothesis writing, can I write it this way? Population means both groups are equal instead of no significant. Yes, of course, yes. Okay, there are many ways of writing hypothesis. Whenever like there's no significant difference, means that these two groups, right, is the values are equal. So it's okay that you actually write equal. I think the equal, I mean the example that is using the word equal, right, is in the slides as well. It's just that I want to make things easier, okay, for me, so that when I'm actually giving you examples, I will always use the example, standard example where there is no significant difference between independent variables in terms of dependent variables, because this one is the most standard format that you won't go wrong almost as long as you are able to identify your independent variable and dependent variable correctly. So that's why I always use this format. But the format that you're writing, population means for both groups are equal, it's fine. But of course, you don't just put the population means that you need to put the exact independent variable that you're actually writing. So yes, it's okay for you to use this way. Then what else? So we should do normality test first before applying chi-square. Technically, yes. I think so. That's why I think the normality test can be done in. I will need to double check because I don't really go and check the normality test restriction in a very explicit manner. But I don't think you have difficulty in. Although it's nominal data, but it should come out with certain kind of outcome, right? I can't really recall, but never mind. I'll take a look later on. Then who is wait, yeah, let me finish the things over here first. What should we include in the discussion part of our report? Do we have to do any specific tests or have to do justification of why we use each hypothesis? Yes, of course you need to put justification, or else how do I know that why you are using t-test, why you are using ANOVA, why you are using two-way ANOVA? So justification is supposed to be there. Discussion, okay. The easiest way is you put the section results and discussion, then you put your table, then you put all your justification down there. Your justification basically is your discussion. But your discussion sometimes can be further explained. Okay, so for example, there is a significant difference when you're doing a t-test. When you're doing a t-test, then there is a significant difference between male and females in terms of their preference on using online platform, okay, online learning platform. So in that case, when there are significant difference between male and female, which one is actually having higher value on certain kind of platform, which one is actually having lower. So these are the things you can actually further analyze and tell the data behavior, rather than you just tell me that, oh, now hypothesis is accepted, full stop. Sorry, now hypothesis is rejected, sorry, and then full stop. There are actually more things that you actually can explore and elaborate. For example, t-test and also ANOVA, then you can, if there is a significant difference, you can actually do Tukey test. If you still recall in your tutorial, you actually tried the Tukey test before. And the Tukey test is actually able to help you to tell the different behavior on the mean value in different groups. And you can even draw a graph on it, right? So these are the extra things, rather than you just tell, oh, there is a significant difference, that's it, full stop. Because there are students are doing this, so I'm like, you should not just stop there. Okay, this is what discussion is doing. All right. Then yeah, anything else? Anything else on the floor? Yes. Somebody unmute. Is it?
Doctor, just now got student asked about the chi-square should do normality test or not, but actually
cannot.
Chi-square, yeah, cannot is for nominal, so normality concept does not apply to nominal data.
Oh, is it? Okay, maybe I need to double check why is it not. Technically, I understand that why you cannot actually draw the normality test, because it's the nominal data itself, but I thought that it will come out with certain kind of outcome as well. But in that case, nominal versus nominal, then you don't really able to do any normality test then. Am I correct?
Yeah, Doctor.
Let me see. Is there any other questions? But can you do homogeneity or variance test? Too long time didn't touch this one. Wei Jing, can you do homogeneity or variance test in that case?
No.
No as well. So nominal data cannot do any test at all. Nominal data is non-parametric, is it? You can't use parametric.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I think you're supposed to have this kind of justification, which nominal data normality test. To be frank, I didn't do this for a very long time, so yeah. I think okay. When I'm searching this one, there's quickly having some answer on this. Okay. I see. So I think that's the reason behind. Okay. So okay, from what I'm getting, or when I'm doing a quick search, it seems to me that when you're comparing two nominal data, you don't need to do the normality test, but you don't have the choice to do the parametric test either. So you can only directly applying the chi-square test, chi-square independent test, and it is actually non-parametric. But I think it's because of the nature of the nominal data where you won't be able to get any so-called normal distribution. But it's just that in terms of SPSS, I thought that it would come out with certain kind of values still, and it's actually going to tell you that it's not normal. This is what I'm taught. Never mind. Okay, can I do both parametric and non-parametric tests for the correlation test? Because in the checklist, there's a section about parametric versus non-parametric. If you are from my group, then you can, but actually, parametric versus non-parametric, right? At the beginning, my suggestion is actually for you to choose between these two. But it's technically not wrong for you to compare between parametric and non-parametric, because there is a possibility that, oh, parametric telling you that it's actually there is a significant difference, but non-parametric telling you there's no significant difference because of the assumption that the parametric is having within the data pool. Okay, it's actually giving you a stronger or so-called more confident outcome. Okay, I would say more, maybe the word confident not so good. It's more higher strength outcome, maybe, because they have certain kind of assumptions. So it's actually, when you're doing this kind of test, it's giving you a stronger confidence is that telling you that it's actually having significance difference or not. When you are doing the parametric tests, they don't really have this kind of assumption. In that case, right, the strength of the statistical test itself is actually lower, and it's actually having higher tendency for you to accept null hypothesis and reject the independent hypothesis. Sorry, to reject the alternative hypothesis. So that's the reason why usually we are more preferred. Okay, we are preferred to use parametric tests in one point. But again, for you to use parametric tests, you need to make sure that your data is carefully collected. Carefully collected in the sense that it still can follow certain kind of fair random sampling and so on, but it needs to be normally distributed at one point. So, and also not affected by outlier itself. So that's why these are the pros and cons about parametric and non-parametric. Okay, so in the other day, if you want to compare these two, I'm fine with that, because there is a possibility both tests give you different outcome. Then you can further explain or justify why it's actually happening. Okay, why is this actually happening? Okay, it depends on how you want to, again, elaborate when you're actually presenting. All right. Okay, perform all the hypotheses in terms of parametric test first, since for the learning purpose, the sample size is quite small. Yeah. And we directly assume all the data are normally distributed. All right. Then if there are any additional information can be added on, such as outcome or no parameter, then we just add the result below it and make. Okay. Actually, the correct flow, usually I would suggest students to do is you should do normality test first, then you do homogeneity or variance test. Once you do these two, you decide whether you want to use parametric or use non-parametric. This is the general flow that I advise all students. But I understand that if you follow this kind of flow, maybe all 6 hypotheses that you're doing gonna be non-parametric. So in that case, right, I would suggest I'm okay for you. I mean, for my group, yeah, I'm okay that for some of your hypotheses, you assume normality, assume normal distribution, and also assume homogeneity or variance, and then you do your parametric test. And for some of your hypotheses, you don't assume, you do all the testing and so on, and you come out with the non-parametric test outcome. It's fine for me. You just need to make sure that if you don't really have a overlapping, what should I say? No, you're not supposed to be overlapping. If you are changing a variable, then the distribution should be different as well. Should have no issues. Yeah. So I am okay. In conclusion, basically I'm okay for you to have, okay, some of it parametric, some of it non-parametric. But parametric, you assume the distribution, and non-parametric, eventually you are doing the normality and the homogeneity variance test. Okay. Do you need to carry out correlation test before regression test? There is a correlation test, but there is no regression test. Regression is actually something like it's very similar to some machine learning models at one point, because it's helping you to predict the value. When you're giving out a x value, you can predict another y value using just, like, for example, the linear regression. So regression technically is not a test. It's just something further that you do after you test, after you get your correlation test, which is there is having a correlation. So please be very clear about this. Okay. I think when you're looking into a lecture, I don't think there's any part of it telling you that regression is a test. It's just that it's something that you actually further explore after you are confirmed that there is a correlation. Then you can actually draw a regression line and to represent the data in an equation. So this one is the so-called the extra discussion that is actually fall into it. Okay. So hopefully you know what's the meaning right now for the discussion part, or even discuss in detail, this kind of thing. All right. How do you say independent variable in terms of dependent variable? Isn't another way around? Huh? Seriously? Are you sure there is another way around? Can you paste your hypothesis here? I'm a bit worried now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Area-based hypothesis here. Just give me one example of your hypothesis, and then I would just want to double check here. There's no significant difference between total time spent per week for. Oh. When you are writing like this, also okay lah. Let me see. There's no significant difference between total times. Actually, if you write it in this way, right, I will actually feel that your total times per week is actually the independent variable. Because why? The words you actually have actually compare within the groups, right? Is the wording of between. Okay. Imagine, when you're actually having the word between, and then after the word between is actually total time spent per week. So you're actually investigating difference in terms of total time spent per week. And then your gender becomes your response variable. It looks like, when you study the sentence, it looks like this way. Don't you think so? Why? When I check in hypothesis, I don't see this problem, Oh my God. I think this one is not so correct. Can you paste one more? If I were you, I would actually put in there's no significant difference between different gender. Okay, different gender. I will specifically mention this one in terms of the total time spent per week for self-development. Oh my God, even my group having this kind of issues. I thought it's very clear about this part. In terms of factor, I don't think this doesn't make sense if it's like in terms of factor. There's no significant difference between years of learning in terms of hours of spent per week. Okay, between the years of learning. Okay, between the years of learning, programming in terms of hours spent per week of self-development. This one I'm fine because between the years of learning, you can have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. Then you can actually have different groups over here. Then in terms of hours spent per week for self-development, this one is continuous variable, so it's fine for me. So this is okay. But the first one is not okay. All right. Okay, it means that I didn't look into your hypothesis detail enough. I agree that I actually scanned through, but I didn't notice really this one. It's supposed to be independent variable between different independent variable in terms of the different dependent variable. For the difference to choose between independent t-test and ANOVA is that only two groups. Yes, Hydrogen, your question is actually yes. Technically, right, even there are only two groups, you apply ANOVA, right, you will still get results. Okay, but if you go and check online, right, there's actually statistical proof that when you are doing independent t-test or you're doing ANOVA using two groups, right, the outcome will be the same. So that's why technically, even you use ANOVA, it's not wrong, but I will actually penalize you a bit because you don't really study clearly during the class. So whatever that you've written here is actually correct. More than two groups, then ANOVA. Two groups only, then t-test. Okay. If the null hypothesis is accepted, what can we further explain? No, nothing. So there is a possibility, right? There's actually some groups, right? Previously, they are actually having all 6 hypotheses. No significant difference, null hypothesis is accepted, then that's all. So I will actually suggest them, if you still have time, please go ahead and find out some hypotheses that you can further elaborate, rather than every single hypothesis you don't elaborate, you can't elaborate anything at all, because in that case, right, your whole project doesn't have any outcome at all. You get what I mean? Because when you are always accepting null hypothesis, means your outcome, right, is always having no significant difference with your original data. Whatever factors that you actually introduce in your questionnaire, right, is actually having no effect on the response that you actually want to investigate. So in the end of the day, that is actually not so good, I would say. It's like your investigation on your assignment have 0 findings. So which is not so good. Okay. Then H0, is there, sorry, there's no significant correlation. Okay, usually correlation, I will not ask you to write the word significant, but it's okay. Between receiving financial aid and the money spent in main categories, both are continuous, right? Is it? Think receiving financial aid is a yes and no answer, is it? If it's a yes and no answer, then how are you able to put it as correlation? I don't think you can do correlation in this one. Our result show is significant for one of the category and not significant for 2 other categories. How should we accept or reject? When you are doing correlation, how are you actually having different categories? Oh my God. Then it's not supposed to be correlation. There's no significant difference, right? You see, there are keywords in your hypothesis that actually directly hinting what are the tests that you're going to use. For example, t-test and ANOVA, you're supposed to put no significant difference. All right. When you're using that way, then we know that you are comparing in terms of groups within a single variable. Like if it's gender, then male versus female. And right now, when you are writing in correlation, we are expecting your independent variable is a continuous value. Your dependent variable is also a continuous value, and then you are measuring whether when one is increasing, and another one is increasing or decreasing. So if it's a grouping kind of problem, then you're supposed to use t-test and ANOVA, correct? But the way you are writing your hypothesis is wrong. Okay, Hong Yan, do you get that? So hopefully you get that. You need to fix your hypothesis at one point. Because that's the reason why when I'm discussing with you, some of you haven't really shown me in a complete manner whether you actually, I mean, after your hypothesis, you didn't tell me what questions that you're using for your questionnaire, and also some of you didn't tell me what are the tests that you are using. So I can't really double check whether your hypothesis is okay or not from that particular point of view. So if you are still not sure, I would suggest you in a group basis manner, you try to send me all your hypothesis and double check on the and tell me what are the questions that you're using in your questionnaire, and also the third one would be the test that you're going to use. Okay, at the very least, Hong Yan, in your case right now, is wrong. Correlation not supposed to be independent t-test, independent sample t-test. Okay. But from the wording that you are using in your independent variable and dependent variable looks okay. So basically, the easiest fix is you just change the word correlation to difference. How about the term category? How should we accept or reject the show the significance of one of the category, main category, and the money spent of main categories during new normal? Is your main categories here having a lot of categories, or is actually only one category? I'm having difficulties. If you are just can you unmute and just let me know, since you are here, you unmute before.
Doctor, so we just use 3 categories. The main categories is just 3. So can we write something like just main category, or we must specify what are the categories? Because from the result, as you can see,
outcome is actually is it a checkbox?
That one is just radio button, if not mistaken.
It's what radio button, is it?
But we are now investigate based on 3 categories because we want to compare those categories. See whether there is difference between receiving financial aid and all these categories.
Yeah, so in that case, right, if your question is radio buttons and you investigate your response, your answer in your outcome, okay, in your outcome is actually radio button, are these all nominal outcome? If it's a nominal outcome, how are you able to do it in terms of t-test? Because it's not continuous values.
the radio button is like in a range of money. It seems to be nominal, but it's a range that we can actually like calculate for the money. And can we treat it like it's a continuous, although because it's just a range, because we want them to easy to put in their answer.
Then how are you able to transfer this information to SPSS? How do you plan to transfer it?
This one we just use like 1, 2, 3, 4 for each of the range.
But your original range, is it really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Is in the range of money.
Yeah, can you tell me the range? Is it 1 to 100 and then 101 to 200, something like this?
It's something like that.
Okay. I will suggest you if you are doing this way, I will suggest you try to find the midpoint. You use the midpoint as your values. Like for example, your outcome is 1 to 100 for your first choice, then you put 50 in your SPSS. And you tell that you are actually doing this kind of data transformation rather than you are actually using 1, 2, 3. You get what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if in the end we still get like this kind of, there's 2 categories that is significant and 1 category that is not significant, can we just write
2 categories significant and 1 category not significant? I don't understand, because
like
how you are actually
the
conducting the
independent
test.
variable is receiving financial aid. So you are investigating whether receiving financial aid will affect their money spending on these 3 categories. So if in the end our result is receiving financial aid will affect 2 of the categories only, but another category is not really that significant in terms of the effect.
I cannot answer you right now because I feel that your way of testing it is a bit weird for me. So it's easy. Try to make things easier. You paste this hypothesis to the Microsoft Team chat. You also paste the whole justification and also the table that you generated from SPSS. I would like to double check how you key in the data. I just check on the table that I know what you are talking about, because I don't think you can have actually 1 category and then you have another 2 categories is actually significant difference. I'm not sure how you can get 3 different answers from here, since you're only having 1 response of continuous variable. So I'm not sure what's wrong right now. I'm actually having difficulty to understand how you get this. So
because our dependent variable, there are 3 categories, and then we input all 3 into the SPSS during the analyzing process.
When you are inputting all 3, but they are all in the 1 continuous variable, right? Then the values
it's actually 3 continuous variable, but in this case, like in the way of hypothesis, we combine it into this money spent on main categories. Yeah, it's actually
if you
a few.
Combine 1, then you don't really have the outcome of 1 category. 3 categories, only 1 category, right? If you already combine. If you don't combine, then you say that every one of it is actually independent. You calculate all your responses independently, then it's another story, right?
Yeah, it's 3 questions, but in the hypothesis, the way we
3 Likert scale or 3? No, sorry, not Likert scale. 3 different radio buttons within your questions.
Yeah, 3 types of radio button question.
But you have already combined them into 1, right? If you have combined them, then you don't really have 1 category is having significant difference, another 2 is not.
We combine it only for the hypothesis, but inside the SPSS, because we want to investigate whether there's difference for this category, we just like separate, and then the result we get, we can clearly see whether receiving financial aid really affects which of the category. Just the way we write our hypothesis.
Even though you are actually having a high level kind of questions in your hypothesis, you're talking about the whole main category, then you also want to specifically investigate 1 by 1 as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, so should we like change our hypothesis, like the money spent on main categories, we put it more specific, like money spent on leisure, food, and online shopping during new normal?
You're supposed to put in the one that is actually can summarize all the money spending pattern, okay, in your questions. If you actually want to have a holistic one, means you want a combined version. When you actually having the as your response, it's okay that you actually have a general outcome, the one with the combined response, and then you also analyze specifically one by one. It's just that you won't be able to, you just need to basically tell about specifically your response. I mean, the response is actually giving you significant difference is actually this category. You get what I mean? So you are like doing one, you have a main hypothesis, then you actually have sub hypothesis. You get what I mean?
Yeah, so we should write all the main hypothesis and all the sub hypothesis inside.
If you want to do extra, then yes, because if we understand the whole thing in a more general manner, right? Every single one that you're putting over here is one distinct hypothesis, which is like the one you have right now, you're writing in your chat, and also the extra three with three different responses on different kind of main categories. So in that case, it can be three different hypotheses actually. It's just that you don't really have the concept of main hypothesis or sub hypothesis. It's still hypothesis at one point. So it depends on you, because this one will become, oh, you have basically only one hypothesis, but you basically elaborate four different hypotheses instead.
Yeah, this hypothesis is basically like generalized for all the sub hypotheses.
Exactly. So if you choose to generalize, then you just if it's a simplified version, then yeah, you can just show the combined version. Then that's it. You don't need to go and one by one. Okay.
Because the result is still like there are three rows, which are these three categories. Is it considered as the combined version because we can easily compare each of the categories?
I'm having difficulty to understand right now because I can't see your outcome. That's why I asked you to paste over there, or else I can't really give you a correct, I wouldn't say correct, accurate suggestions. Right now, I'm just imagining what you are trying to elaborate to me. So it's better for you to paste over there. Is it okay?
Okay, I paste it right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is we take three of the columns, just the T value and the degree of freedom and also the P value. Yeah, so the result is something like this, just the three categories.
That's why online shopping having significant difference, but the other two doesn't have. But how about the combined version?
If we use this test, is what we get is just this. Because we put it.
How about the combined version?
Also, we should, because the combined version for the hypothesis, but in terms of SPSS, we still like using one by one to investigate.
Yeah, I know, but you can actually combine these three responses into one, right? In that case, you don't really focus on category right now. You only actually focus on money spending, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing will become okay if you're changing your your hypothesis will become okay. There's no significant difference between receiving financial aid and money spending pattern during new normal. That's it.
If we still want to use this result, like we can see it one by one, how should we change our hypothesis? Is it something like there's no correlation, there's no significant difference between receiving financial aid and money spent on specify all these categories?
Okay. you need to understand first, if you want this all three, okay, this all three can itself become a standalone hypothesis.
Yeah,
but if you still want to show all these things, it's okay. But I will strongly suggest you have the main one first, the one with the combined version, the one that I keep emphasize. You're combining all your food and your online shopping and leisure entertainment into one response. Then you do the test whether it's significant or not. Then you can discuss in this way. We further analyze this particular hypothesis into the main categories that we have in the questionnaire. Then you can actually put in sub hypothesis. But of course, this one is much more smaller, I would say. So in that case, you can actually discuss in a much more so-called quicker manner lah. That's why this table will be able to use up. You know what I mean? You can use,
but there are page limitations. So what if we just include one of the category? It's more towards like the normal way of using hypothesis. There's only one category that we are investigating.
Yeah,
because
so
we have the.
I don't have a right or wrong answer for you, because technically, right, if you do in this way, you already do 4 hypotheses. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'm actually asking you just to do 6 hypotheses. So it really depends on you how you want to present in your report.
Okay, I think we
you need to make a choice. If you really insist on this one come in, then in the other day, maybe your report is actually having more than 6 hypotheses. And I already mentioned, more than 6 hypotheses don't really give you extra credit. But I can justify this particular part because you basically investigate in more detail. So I can justify this part as a discussion in more detail. Because you have main hypothesis, you have a main big question, then you go into more detail for sub questions. You get what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it depends on how you present the report later on, so that I can understand your logical, your flow and why you are doing so. As long as I can see the trace, right, then I'm actually okay with that. But I don't really want you to just do it without any reason. At the moment, when you're explaining to me, I can see the reason behind, which is okay. It's just that you need to rearrange it in a more understandable manner. Then also remember your page limit, really. Okay, remember your page limit. Yep.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
I'll answer the last question from Li Chen. Do you smoke? Yes, no. And mental health, 1 to 5. Smoking had no effect on mental health. Smoking had effect on mental health. All right. Are these hypotheses okay for my non-parametric test? It's already 3:04 lah. I'll try to answer as much as I can since I still have time. For those who, if you have other things to do, then you can leave here. I don't mind, yeah, because it's already 3. But 3 to, I don't think there's students having class 3 to 4. So please do your assignment, okay? And please do your group project. Okay, so what else here? Non-parametric test. What test are you using, Dishan? Dishan, are you still here?
Mann-Whitney U test.
Okay, Mann-Whitney U is equivalent to t-test. Yes, acceptable. Yeah, because yes and no are 2 groups. Mental health, you treat it as continuous variable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's quite, yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
If the survey form, we ask respondent to answer by choosing true or false radio button. If in the survey form, we ask respondent to answer by choosing true or false radio button for each computer science topics. Wow, okay. I convert the data into the number of preferred topics. The number is in the range from 0 to 9. Yeah, it's okay. Basically, you are doing data transformation, which is good. What's wrong with that? No, it's actually okay. Then, is implementing independent t-test for the hypothesis below right? Is implementing independent t-test for the hypothesis below? Wow, your English, There's no significant difference between different gender in FS student and the number of preferred topics to explore. Yeah, okay. No, I'm not asking you to relearn English. When you're typing, you need to double check lah, whatever that you're actually typing over here, because I have difficulty to understand what you're asking. Independent sample t-test. Why you all like to write just independent t-test? It's actually independent sample t-test, the full name. Yeah. No significant difference. Gender is fine for t-test, and then number of preferred topics, you do data transformation. Yeah, actually it's good. I know I have no issues on this one. It looks fine for me. And then I actually missed up this part. I suppose in the optional task, I'm supposed to put something on data transformation as well. I forgot. But yeah, I will actually, I will take note into this kind of things as well, because the easiest hypothesis that you can create is actually one question, independent variable from one question, and then dependent variable from another one question, then the simplest hypothesis done. But you can actually have so-called more complicated hypothesis with multiple independent variable or multiple response. And the process for you to manipulate it, okay, or you try to do some data pre-processing or try to do some manipulation or transformation, and in the other they help come up with certain kind of different outcomes, I'll actually take note and take credit on this one. Like this, like what Yongming is doing, you are actually doing certain kind of data transformation. But I wonder why you want to ask in this way. You can actually ask in terms of checkbox. Then it's easier for you to convert the data maybe. But since you already do all the true false, still okay. It's basically doing the same, giving you the same outcome. But yeah, that's all. Now it's 3:08. Any still other questions? I still have a little bit time. If no, then you can actually ask me in the chat later on. Then if you think that you need some time, okay, to talk to me with your group members, maybe you need like 15 minutes and so on, you can ask me via Microsoft Teams chat, request for a quick meeting. Then you can invite me in, then I can quickly join in and answer your doubts. But please schedule it, pre-schedule it, maybe like you give me a little bit of time, like at least 24 hours. Like if you want to meet me tomorrow, then you let me know now so that I can arrange my time, or else it's difficult for me to attend to every single student. Okay, so okay, one more. For Q&A session, we just personally make an appointment with you via Microsoft Chat or email, right? Yes, so that you can book me a time. Okay. So usually I will refer to the group leader because it's easier for me to text the group leader directly. So, okay. Anything else? Oh, you may. Yeah. You're saying yet? You're saying no question. Oh,
sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so no one else. Oh, it's only 70 something. Yeah, we have 300 over.
Yeah.
But we have like, if it's 4 groups in total, it's like 100 something over students. Where are you all?
Sorry, I'm lagging. Regarding if we are doing a correlation, so the hypothesis should be there's no correlation between this and this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
now hypothesis is supposed to be having no correlation, and hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, then it's supposed to be having correlation. Of course, you can do a specific version like, oh, when A is increasing, then B is increasing as well. But again, I don't suggest this way because you are actually suggesting that you are very sure that you are getting a positive correlation if you are writing in this way. But in general, right, because we don't know how the data is behaving, and for the sake of the assignment, I will just ask you to the more, general version. You're just mentioning that there will be a correlation, between two variables. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, sure. Actually, there are many ways of writing hypothesis. It's just that I don't really want you to like keep changing your hypothesis later on, or facing a situation where you need to reject your null hypothesis and also reject your alternative hypothesis as well. Okay, try not to have that kind of issues. So if nothing else, then that's it for today. So good luck in your test next week. You will get your instruction very soon. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you,
Oh,
Doctor.
oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you. I thought there are new questions. Okay. See you. Bye. Bye. It's okay. Don't need to type that one. I thought that there are new questions. Please. It's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.